All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to game 18 of Gathol. Um, so today's going to be a little bit of an interesting game. We're going to go through the normal downtime stuff here first, and then we're going to go through a bunch of really cool, hopefully collaborative role playing, and then end up with a cool battle at the end. Um, so um, games like this and sort of things that I really like to do are all about like um, collaborative role playing and currency. So one of the things that we've sort of established a bunch here is that there are all these statistics and like hope and defense and all these things about the town of Gathol. So those things are going to come into play, and what we're going to do is we're going to do some collaborative role playing between me and all the players here about how the town is affected by what's going to happen, and then we're going to use that to kind of drive ourselves into that last fight and how it affects it. So basically, think of everything about Gathol, all the people that you've met, whether it be Jadmac, the Smith, any of the items in there. Like, think about it all as like currency and things that you can talk about and wrap into the story that we're telling here today. Um, and really anything you want. It's like, role playing and theater of the mind. So let's get into some downtimes and then we'll get into it. We're gonna do Gravy last because he's doing a thing.
Because
So,
one thing.
so we're gonna start with Zalzu Dorney. You were tinkering. I would say you have a bunch of tinkering stuff on your sheet. Just feel free to make any two of them you want. You have like 10 things you can make. They should all be there. Just come up with two and you can do that on your own time. All right. Squawk, you have been making inroads with the miners in the Undercity, or the sort of underbelly of Gathol. You have, at this point, met with Rico Strongrock. And the information that you have gathered is that they meet every so often and make an adventure to a place that no one else knows about. The details on that are vague, but like not this game because we're doing something else, but a later game. What you can do is you could take the party, or you could kind of do it in downtime if you want, and explore like what exactly they're doing down there to get all the sort of resources that Gathol needs.
Okay.
Um, all right, Starfire, you're continuing circus stuff. Uh, Coil, you leveled up. And Dan. Okay, so Gravy. So Gravy, you sort of went on this like journey, right, in this turmoil, sort of grieving over Shanley, and you came up with um like you like I want to hear the moment where basically like your internal thoughts or external thoughts maybe screaming to the universe or whatever, the moment where you decide where you can't live without Shanley, like you absolutely need this person in your life.
So after we got back from our last adventure, and um, walking back into this cave that's become very familiar to me, uh, I just keep noticing all these places that remind me of Shanley, where we've been. Like, oh, you know, there's that campfire where we sat and uh, roasted some chicken, and then uh, there's someone wearing something that reminds me of her, or maybe even one of her parents walking by, and then uh, it eats away at Gravy, and he starts to like uh, decide that he's gonna find some kind of a solution to this problem, and now that he knows, now that he knows that heaven is a thing and these people have, you know, come from heaven, maybe there's some way to make some kind of a connection.
Okay. So through that, we sort of have a montage of Gravy exploring and like doing like going out and yelling and getting frustrated, and then you wind up from some feeling or something you don't exactly know why, but you wind up here at at this little house. It is inhabited. Uh,
Wait,
oh,
hang on a second. I gotta zoom out.
okay.
Uh, oh, there we go. I think I got you.
You see it down here, the bottom right near the hole.
There we go. Yeah.
All right. So you wind up at this house, and you wind up, and it turns out that Banad is just living there now. Like he has just moved in. You guys kicked him out of Gathol, and he's just living there now. And you guys have been chatting back and forth, and
Okay.
he's sort of trying to work out a deal with you, where basically like he's like a middleman at this point, and he's sort of like, and you guys have come to an agreement. Um, One second. So he says that what the god needs for you to be able to get Shanley or get to Shanley is
What's the god's name?
one second. I forgot to write it down. All
Oh,
right, give me 1 second. It's Afflux, Afflux. So the god is Afflux that he is communicating with,
very good.
and the god requires two things. First is your devotion to him. You must start praying to him and become a worshiper of him. The second thing is after you revealed that you guys had in fact got
Several
some
celestial. So
celestials. This was kind of a
yeah.
big bargaining chip,
Yep.
because at first he thought you guys didn't have it because you guys told him you didn't, but now he knows, and he says he wants one of them. So if you can bring one of the celestials here, and he will give it to this god, then you will get Shanley back.
Tell me more about what you mean by give it to this god. Is it going to be like a sacrificial situation?
He sort of says, I don't know what's going to happen to the celestial when it gets here, but it's going to go away, and the god's going to have it.
That's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
And like we sort of pan out with both of you nodding, and then that will be something that you can handle maybe in your next downtime or something like that. But you don't have like enough time to do the whole thing. But you have basically
that's
worked
great.
out the deal.
Cool.
All right.
Can I get like a sample of what my access to Shanley will look like?
He says, I can't give you a sample of a body. That's weird.
What, like an example, like a scenario, like what exactly is this going to look like?
he like you could tell he's sort of like he's like it'll look like Shanley. It will be Shanley.
Okay, all right. I just didn't know if it would be like a Zoom conference call or
No, it's a trade.
Okay, this is that sounds great.
He agreed. He's like, oh yes, it is great. You're welcome.
I want to make sure that my devotion is up to standards. Is there a particular way that I should practice worship that you prefer?
Once you bring the celestial here, that will start.
Okay. Thank you.
He nods.
All right. Boom.
All right. Cool. So cow has been launched. All right. Cool. So
has been launched.
we have that. We're working on that. All right. So now what we have is you guys are all sort of meeting for your morning, like, hey, this is what we're talking about. We're about to go out on a mission. And you notice that sort of everyone is here. Like, they've assembled a bunch of the adventurers, and Keen is sort of saying, like, all right, we have a situation. Our lumber mill, where we, harvest our trees, have notified us that the kobolds are en route. So they're coming. We're gonna need to look into, we're gonna need to defend outer Gathol, and we're gonna need to get this settled. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you, and he looks at your team, and he says, you guys will be the team that stays here. And I'm gonna send the other team, whoever shows up on the next game, I'm going to send them to go while the troops of kobolds are here. I'm going to send them to go get the king get their leader while in the tower while they're out. So, that's the plan. Go make ready. And he sort of dismisses you all. All right. So, you know that kobolds are attacking or are about to attack. We're going to go through every person. Zalzu Dorney, what do you do to prepare yourself for a kobold attack?
I get nervous.
Yeah.
Who would be the? I guess I want to seek out Coil and talk to him.
Okay.
And run some things by him. Coil.
So I assume I'm probably at like the Shrine of Moradin. Well, I guess we're in the meeting, so I'm in the meeting. Never mind. I say, yes, Zalzu.
Are these kobolds coming because we stumbled into their tower and provoked them? Is that the likely scenario that's happening? Is this our fault? Or was this going to happen anyway, you think?
Zalzu, from my opinion, war is inevitable. They were...
Well, I hate that.
They were, no doubt, working through a plan of expansionism. We just happened to fall in their way.
Well, who's King Kobold? Can we talk to somebody about this?
That King Kobold, I believe, is in the tower where we just were.
Just attacked. Oh, so we've accidentally opened the dialogue. Oh, I shouldn't have stumbled into this mess. Well,
does your family know
that I'm the cause of the advancing army? Well, I guess they can put things together. I mean, I told them about my scheme of disguising myself as a kobold and just stumbling into the biggest nest of kobolds in the land.
Wait, you told your kids about that?
Well, I told my wife.
Oh.
And then we cut over to you and your wife, and you're like, and then the kobolds told us to get naked.
Oh dear.
Things just got out of hand.
This is gonna get weird.
All right.
I don't know if I would mention for them to keep safe. I think the important thing is that
yes, of course,
the people of Gathol make their way back to the caves, and we'll fortify the walls.
Yeah, perfect. I'll
Awesome.
let them know.
Awesome. All right, what does Squawk do when he hears about the kobolds are coming?
He's I think he's pretty calm about it. He just makes sure that his he's a bit of a he's very picky. He's very particular. He makes sure that his armor is just right and his cloak and clothing is all ready. It's almost a little bit like a showing these are the enemy and they're coming to us and we have to look our absolute best. Every feather in its place. All my arrows are perfectly sharp. My weapons are ready. Just making sure I have all of the things that I need to have. He's actually unnaturally quiet, and just really focused on the battle. He's not super concerned about kobolds. We've had enough run-ins with them that while they're problematic in lots of numbers, we seem to be fairly capable at dealing with them. So he's not terribly worried. He's a little more concerned about the regular people of Gathol. But other than that, he's really concentrating towards looking his best and being ready with his gear.
All right, sounds good. Starfire.
Yeah, so initially Starfire is sort of regretting some of the decisions that we've made. Maybe, some of the same concerns of like, have we provoked this versus, was this inevitable? But either way, she's starting to she gets up and just starts working out the muscles and, stretching and getting limber for this, and the sort of energy of everything is building up inside of her. And then at that point she can't really I can't really sit still any longer. So I go to my room, prepare my spells as hastily as I can, and then kind of head out to outside to prepare and keep an eye out for what's coming ahead.
All right, cool. Coil, what's up with Coil?
So he's going to give a very brief prayer to Moradin, and then I think he's going to go check he'll go start going outside the city, house to house. So this area.
Yep.
And evacuating, getting them all in the cave down below.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll probably do a perimeter walk, along the fortifications to make sure they're all
Yeah, you don't really have time for you can start doing a little bit. You guys have maybe an hour, not that long,
Oh, well, in that case, I would probably try to get other people to do those tasks.
Okay.
Delegate,
Mm-hmm.
So I have some of the local constables or whatever start evacuating, have other local dwarves go through and check all the fortifications to make sure the walls, there's no holes in the walls and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, what does Gravy do?
So you're telling us to get ready for battle.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes his axe and sets it on the table. And he says, ready. And he goes, wait a second. There actually is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And cutscene. And he's leaning up against the wall, waiting for Starfire's door to open. After Starfire went to prepare some spells.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of stops Starfire right there. He's like, hey, so you ready for combat?
Well, it's coming one way or another. We're gonna...
Did you prepare color spray today?
Think we're gonna need it.
Yeah, you think you were gonna need it? And he grabs a hold of Star and says, cast it over there in the corner right now. Cast color spray over there in the corner. I'm not doing this again.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm trying. We cool?
I don't see any magic dust or lights.
I do prestidigitation at the corner.
That works on Gravy.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Very cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to Outer Gathol.
if I end up blind again,
Yeah, well, who knows?
He's gonna
Yeah.
cry.
Didn't happen last time. You got flame sphered last time.
Yeah,
uh,
it was only Ander who went blind, I think, last time.
I should have took the path of the bear so that I could have had resistance to all types of damage.
Oh well. All right.
Oh no.
So here we have Outer Gathol. Now, at the end of this, we're gonna go into a large fight. The fight has been tooled to be extremely deadly. However, during this time, you will be able to compensate for that. So basically, what I'm saying is you'll have to lose stuff now if you don't want to like party wipe later, basically, right? So it's
Oh dear.
so it's like it's a cost and like a cost benefit thing, basically. Like you may have to give up stuff now to be more effective later, and you will sort of see how that all goes. All right, so basically these are the 6 areas that are sort of exist in Outer Gathol right now. Up here is the top left. Actually, let me get your dudes.
So you've kind of separated things by these squares,
Yes.
and each one that we attend to will gain some kind of benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What are the resources we're spending?
Anything that you can think of. So it could be part of Gathol, like you could expend hope or defenses or any of those things, or part of your character, like anything that you come up with. Sort of like we'll just tie it into the story. All right.
All right. It's hard to remember all the different.
There's a handout at the if you click on the journal tab.
Things you want to know about the town of Gathol.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why that was important.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna do the thing. All right, cool. I'm gonna just put your characters up here, and we'll move them. Oh, this is not. Oh no, wait, that was you.
So let's pull defenses out of the city and post them up out here.
All right, cool. So there are sort of 6 areas that need to be attended to. So let me kind of explain what the areas are here. This place here is the northern entrance or exit to Outer Gathol. This is the snake tunnels that you've cleared out. This is sort of the middle area with like the marketplace, the town square, as it were, or as much of there as that there is. This is the entrance to Gathol proper. This one here is the sort of where they the fields and where they're growing things. These are where the goats are. See those 3 sweet giant goats right there. Over here.
Wait.
Huh?
Where are the goats?
They're right here.
Oh. Okay.
Right there.
Over
Oh, yeah.
here is the lumber mill and the sort of like mill where they grind
Process.
the flour and all that stuff. So this is sort of more of economic. And then this one is just like the main entrance, the like where Gathol, where the kobolds are, most likely to enter. Basically, this is the one closest to the forest. So yeah. So you guys can separate as much as you'd like. We're gonna do each zone one time, basically, and you'll notice that there are more zones than people. So if you want to cover more area, that is another expenditure of resources that you guys will have to cover. So go ahead and discuss amongst yourselves what you'd like to do and how you'd like to separate, if you want to.
Can kobolds swim?
You have never seen them swim.
I feel like we should be nervous about the river being unwalled and just opening right up onto the the belly of our production area, and that might be something that we overlook. But I don't know, what are people's thoughts on the feasibility of a kobold marine attack, as it were?
Well, firstly, is it a river, a stream, a brook?
Yeah,
Does
it's
it
like
have?
it's like a pretty good river. It's like 30-ish, 40 feet across. Like you'll have to swim if you want to cross it as like a
Okay.
medium-sized person, but not like
And
a.
is it flowing out of town?
Yes, it's flowing out of town. Yep. There is
Is it-
actually there's actually a magical propulsion system that sends logs coming up the river to the lumber mill.
So it's not fordable. Like there's no place to walk across it.
You couldn't walk, but you could like swim. Like it wouldn't be a difficult swim.
Is the area within the walls of Gathol forested, or like what is the terrain here?
It's mostly been clear cut here, basically. Like there were some sparse trees in this area. It's a little bit higher of an elevation too, so like basically you guys are kind of like on the lower end of like a mountaintop. But what there was of forest, it's kind of been cleared out a bit.
Presumably to make these lovely walls,
Walls, houses, yep.
stockade style walls.
So I guess, can I have some clarification,
Yeah,
Jay?
yeah.
Like, what is it just going to be us fighting them, or is this going to be like some sort of masked combat?
So it's gonna kind of be you guys, but basically, like, let's say you go to one of these areas and there's like a ton of kobolds. You're gonna be like, well, I can't take these on my own, so what I'd like to do is get a bunch of defenders here. So what you can do is you can basically say, I will give up Gathol defenses, say 10% or whatever, to wipe out all these kobolds, or 9% to wipe out most of them. Or you could say, like, I'm gonna use my spells, and that's how it's going to happen. So we're going to kind of tell a story with those resources and how they're being expended till the last fight. Does that make sense?
A little more macro planning than micro planning.
Yeah.
Oh, so the idea is like the kobolds are already here,
Yeah.
and this is how we're going to fight the battle.
Exactly. Yeah. You're fighting like sort of the big overarching battle, and then at the end of the game, we're going to do like a micro like an actual like tactics combat based on how we do here.
Okay.
So let's take a look at our resources. We have our defenses. We have quite a few people. Can we use satisfaction? Can we make people more miserable by taking something?
Yeah, you can do anything you want. It'll just be like you have to work it into the story of how it happens, right?
Where are we? So we've cleared out all the civilians, and they're in Gathol proper.
Not necessarily. So that's something that will kind of like basically work in. So like if you guys say like I want to give up a bunch of the population to affect these kobolds, we'll say like these people didn't make it, in before this fighting started happening, and that's how we like kind of story tell that in.
I guess something so reaching this out, but to me that Starfire feels that a lot should be done to protect the innocents here, people who are maybe impacted by what we've done, or unable to fight, or unwilling, or children, infirm, whatever. They need to be kept safe somewhere. And from a gaming standpoint, I feel like that's where hope comes in, is keeping them alive and secure in wherever they are.
And we could definitely say like right now you guys are all having like a powwow, and you're like, okay, Starfire's like, hey, I would really like to keep the population safe, and you guys can kind of mitigate out, and this is the story we're telling, right?
What is Gathol without people? I think that's, me, is the most important.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Just kidding.
I
So
I believe I have a plan. I'll take the north gate.
just
Good-
coil.
Good plan.
Where?
Well thought.
And at that
Launching
point,
cannon.
at this point, I'm going to leave and go try to find the Celestials.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you can get them.
I need to. Okay, well, you could probably just tell me the name of the god here. It's in the plot hook. in that cave structure that we found.
Oh yeah,
Marishalk.
yeah.
What was it?
Marishalk.
Yeah, Marishulk. Yep.
Marishalk, yeah. So I go to the Celestials and I say, war is upon us. There's an army of kobolds marching on Gathol. To the west of us is a temple to Marishalk. What do you know of Marishalk?
They say he's evil. He is a snake or a changing god. He's not good.
Would he assist us?
If I think most of them would assist if we pay homage to them, certainly, but someone like that may not be someone you want to reach out to. It's up to you.
Why have I heard nothing from Moradin?
They think and they say, some gods are more apt to spend resources. Even visiting is a lot for them. Some gods wait for a moment that is more powerful.
I have prayed to Moradin every day. I have seen no sign from him. Is he still up there? Has he forgotten me?
He is still up there. I don't think that he has forgotten you, but I think he is waiting for a moment.
I do not understand.
They kind of think and they sort of say like, you know how you were teaching us about money and gold?
Yes.
Imagine if he came down here, even to utter a word, it would be 20 gold. But if he came down here to do a miracle, it would be 30 gold. And he only has so much gold.
I suppose I understand.
They all smile at you, but that's not like that like weird smile that you've been trying to like hold, like because they think that that's the right way to do it.
Oh, okay. So after that, Coil will leave and he'll go back to the temple over here.
Okay. So you're gonna be in this area. All right. Cool. What do the rest of you like to do? I should be more specific because we're on the internet. Why don't we start with Starfire? We never start in the middle.
Sure. Starfire is thinking if probably the best place for her is to be by one of the gates. So I just moved myself to the south gate, and and my thinking is that with my illusion magic, perhaps I can slow the attack or scare them away or make it look like we're more formidable than perhaps we actually are.
Cool. All right. Squawk, what are you up to?
I'm gonna in the I think in the ensuing battle, I'm gonna stay with Starfire. One to help to protect him.
Her.
Her while they're doing their while she's doing her any kind of casting, but at the same time, also if this is the spot of the main attack to maybe help stem the tide. I'm also in agreement with Starfire that any non-essentials should be probably to the rear if in Gathol proper. But at the same time, any people that are available who have any training in like healing or obviously anybody capable of holding any kind of weapon should be out in the defense.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Zalzu.
I guess I want to go to the lumberyard area. I'm going to seek volunteers from the populace for archers that want to get up in the windmill and watch the roads coming up from the river in the south entrance. I want to get some sort of watch party so we can notice. So you said there's a magical, some sort of magical log delivering system.
Yep, it
Can that be
delivers logs
deactivated
from down here
from the south?
from the south to the north.
Can that be turned off easily so that kobolds can't ride logs up?
That's a good idea. Yeah, definitely.
Bam.
So I'll get that shut down, and I guess just set up sort of in general a watch area at like the crossroads to alert, the archers in the windmill if people are coming from the south or the river, and see what happens, and get as many volunteers for defense as possible in that area.
Nice. All right. Awesome. And Gravy, where are you heading?
I'm just curious. Can someone switch that off quickly? Because I was kind of thinking along the same lines as also like, but if we could just have somebody watching, and if we didn't shut it off and that was their primary means to travel and that was their big plan, and we could just shut it off immediately, they'd just be riding up the river and then suddenly getting flushed back down the river.
I mean, you could definitely go with Zalzu. I mean, or you could go somewhere else. It's totally up to you.
I'm not going to go with Zalzu because I want to go with the Celestials and kind of start to build a rapport with them.
Well, they're still in Gathol. Like you can say that you took them with you, but Coil, I don't think your intention was to take them, was it? I could be wrong. I could have misinterpreted it, but it seemed like your intention wasn't to take them with you.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Yeah, so
All right.
you could go get them if you'd like then, Gravy.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I will have them help me protect the main entrance to Gathol.
Okay.
And then I believe I'll spend 10% of our defenses in the remaining location that no one went to.
Well,
Here.
we'll wait on that. We'll wait on that portion.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, cool. So now I want all of you to roll a d6 for me, and then we'll.
Could I ask a question I mean, I know we're getting everything ready and we're headed off in those directions. I wanted to ask Zalzu what he thought about the idea now that he brought up the idea of turning off the log magic, call it. What if we made the defenses at the gates and the walls look really stout, but we left logs floating in the river
To lure them that way.
as an enticement, thinking that we were kind of stupid and we left them a place to ford to let them think they were ambushing us when in fact we were actually setting an ambush.
Yeah, I think that
Trying to cause them to trick them into making that their attack.
their attack. Yeah, I think that could be a good idea.
Sweet.
It's essentially bottlenecking them.
Right.
Right.
Showing them something that might entice them to make the mistake.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Gravy and Coil, or I'm sorry, Gravy and Starfire. You've already rolled.
Oh. I haven't rolled yet, but I just realized something.
Yeah.
I don't speak Celestial, so I might want to go wherever Coil goes, just so that I can communicate with the.
Jadmac speaks Celestial, and you can take him with you if you want.
That sounds good. All right, I'll do that.
You said a D6?
Yeah, this is D6. All right, cool. So, if that's the case, then we will start with. I was gonna start with, well, Zalzu. Yeah. So you're 5. So we'll go do yours first. So you rush over there, and you see, like you said, a bunch of kobolds sort of riding up these magical logs, right? And you're approaching the lumber mill here, and tell me like what it is like. So there's kobolds here. They seem to be like sorcerers of some kind. Like they have these sort of mechanical, like imagine like made of like leather wings, and they're sort of shooting spells of fire and stuff like that. They're like the first wave that got here even before you arrived, but you could definitely see some more coming. What is it that you do to sort of get by them or deal with them to turn the log ride off?
So where are the controls for the log ride? In the lumber mill
They're
itself?
in the lumber mill, yeah.
And where are they now? Are they like they're in front of the one lumber mill?
Yeah, they're all around. Yeah, yeah.
How many defenders have arrived with me?
I mean, sort of.
Or
This
do
is
we
sort of like
outnumber
you
them?
get to just do. You can run away with it if you want. Like you can say like I have this many defenders, this many
Alright.
die. You know, like how much do you want to give? So there are 4 sorcerer kobolds. That's sort of the big challenge of this area.
And can the archers I've put in the windmill hit them from here? Or is that too far away?
Yeah, I mean we can use those archers. Like you said, you wanted to just get people to do them. So what we
Yeah.
could do is we could say like, yeah, the people, the populace of the archers come, but they're gonna get shot at by these kobolds because they're slinging fire spells.
So yeah, I'd say I find the fastest volunteer I can to tell them to get quickly get into the lumber mill, shut down the logs, avoid getting attacked. The rest of the archers are going to be shooting to distract the sorcerer guys from aiming at our. It'll be like the torch guy in the Two Towers. He's just running with a message to say, "Turn it off, shut it down." While all the archers, distract source kobolds, and I'm shooting my freeze beam.
All right, cool. So
slowing them down.
So you think that what do you think is like populace? Like what are you sacrificing to get this done?
I'd say 10% of my defense force, I guess, whatever that is, of the populace. 1/6 of if we've evenly spread them out amongst all the zones, or maybe I don't know. 3% of the total populace perishes to stop the logs. Is that insane? That's insane.
I don't know what the number is. Let me.
Guys,
just throwing bodies in the river to block it up.
We don't know the exchange rate. I guess like that's the thing.
What's the exchange rate of populace to kobolds?
Yeah, I mean it's sort of we're just coming up with it. All right. So what is 3% of 3,850?
Yeah, no, not all, because it wouldn't be that. So I mean, how many? So we say like maybe volunteers ended up being like 2,000 perhaps, and like half the populace would volunteer, and the rest would be either too old or a child or etc.
We could say like 20 of them, like we could say like 20 deaths would kill maybe like 1 kobold, and you'd stop the logs. If you want to kill more people, like if you want to be like, no, fight to the death, then you could kill more kobolds.
I'd say once we stop the logs to stop the rest of the invading kobolds,
not one step backwards. Not one
to like
step
the windmill
back.
area, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll stop the logs, and then we'll hole up in the buildings and try to shoot from cover.
So you're picking safety over killing the kobolds.
I mean, the main for this stage, magical log fairy bringing any into the town.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we don't kill right now is going to be in the altercation at the end, right? You understand that, right?
Yeah, and if you want, you could give up your health or your spells. Like you could say like, oh,
sure.
You had to use cure wounds to like do this thing.
Yeah. All right. Can we? Well, yeah. I don't know. So how many? So if I like empty out my, let's see. If I just as a
it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's just fun. It's whatever you want. Yeah, you could like set the whole like lumber mill on fire. You could like sacrifice the lumber mill for it. Like
how long did it take to build the lumber mill?
Well, it's more the magic. Like you would be sacrificing the magic, which is like 1 crystallized magic.
to stop the invasion. I guess to kill as many kobolds here and stop them from becoming part of the end invasion. I'll expel my cure wounds, and I will destroy the lumber mill.
All right. So I'll say you don't need to expend any of your cure wounds. If you blow up the lumber mill, like you kill all 4 of these guys. Like they're just that you just like So tell me what you do. Like tell me about like the decision and how you like what you do, like the whole thing.
So once we realize that we realized we were going to send that guy in, like the orc at Helm's Deep, and we realize, he's just going to get shredded by these guys. Hey, wait a minute. We found huge tanks of rye alcohol at the bottom of the windmill. We'll simply roll them down the hill with burning torches on them into the lumber mill, and then when they crash, they'll, just explode and destroy the lumber mill and all the kobolds there. But we make a horrible mistake, and 20 of my own people also die while doing that.
Yeah, maybe it's like like the guy still needs to turn off the button before the building explodes, so you need to like get there or something. Yeah. All right, cool. So we'll say, let me just get that recorded here. All right, so 20 people die and loss of lumber mill. All right, cool. All right, and for anyone who's watching at home, I'm going to go over to the super secret other, the battle map here. And these are all the kobolds that they might have to fight. And these ones are getting deleted. Cool.
Command A. Oh, no.
All right, cool. All right, so who got the next highest? So we will do... Coil and Gravy. All right, we're going to do a roll off. Coil and Gravy, another D6 for me. Stop it. All right, both of you D100s. Get it.
I would laugh. I would laugh.
As soon as you said D6, I was like, that's not a lot of variation. You might want to...
Yeah.
That'll work.
52, yeah.
I can't reward this sort of behavior out of Dan. All right. So, Dan, you're going to go first. All right. So, you're sitting there. You got Jadmac and the Celestials. And then all of a sudden, you sort of look into the sky. And you see 16 of these, like, kobolds. They have, like, prehensile, pterodactyl wings. And they're just descending onto you to try and come in from the back entrance, basically.
All right. I have a soundbite that seems appropriate.
Can we afford it?
This is where we fight.
I don't feel like we can't afford that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Does that get deleted? Can I be like, this is commentary? So then it's under the fair use law.
Yeah. We're definitely fine.
All right. Okay. 16. Okay, so they're on these contraptions. Are they still just 16 kobolds besides that?
Yeah, I mean they're still just 16 kobolds, but they're not contraptions. Like they have wings. Like they're like sort of like imagine like flying prehensile goblins or kobolds.
Frig.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I'm just looking at my resources here. I will spend 5% of Gathol defenses. 1 rage. and 10 health, and 10 population.
All right, so tell me about like how that all happened. Like, explain to me why these things happened. Like, why did you have to rage? Why did all these people die?
Okay, so they landed in random spots next to the people that we'd brought in. There's basically like 3 buildings, and we kind of set up in sort of like this old Western style situation. People are like peering out windows and doors, weapons at the ready. And we're looking down the road, we're looking up the road. No one sees anything. Like, a bunch of time passes, and people start walking outside. And we're like walking out, we're looking around, and all of a sudden, all these kobolds descend from the skies, and they just land next to everybody. And it's just mass chaos. A lot of the people that died were holding ranged weapons, expecting to like get the jump on someone coming from the main road, and weren't looking up in time to do much of anything. They just like basically ambushed from the skies. And then Gravy, once they got on the ground, just started cutting through them like butter. But it still takes time.
I mean, gravy goes good with butter. Like, this is how it is,
Mhm.
So I would say that's pretty good. I like the story. I think 16 kobolds is a lot. I mean, I'd say for that number you could get rid of 8. You get half of them. What do you think?
Okay. That was the decision that I made. I will say one of the
Well, you could counter offer. You could say like, oh, well, if that's the case, then I'll give more. Like, I'm happy with tapping your resources. Like, that's here we are.
All right, let's throw 20 more people at it.
Okay.
Make them I don't know. Do we have any elves? I don't really like them.
Sure.
Oh my.
So tell me about like the decision that Gravy had to make. Like you could tell that you weren't gonna get more, but like I would say for 20 people you could get rid of 4 more. And just be like but I want to hear the like decision you make to actively sacrifice those people.
Okay. I basically like recognize where we're getting like hammered the hardest, and I signal like the might have like a flag system or something, and I'm like like Braveheart, don't send don't use the archer's arrows, cost money. send in the infantry.
Send in the elves.
Elves are cheap.
All right, I'm gonna take 2% hope for that as well. Just because it was not a good, not pleasant.
Okay, but just personally, like for Gravy, his hope actually went up.
Yeah,
So
that
just
makes
saying.
sense. Makes sense. All right, cool. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and take our first break, and then we'll be back for more shenanigans.
Shenanigans,
Cool.
he said.
I like the mechanics